الحمد لله حمدا يوافي نعمه ويكافئ مزيده. يا ربنا لك الحمد كما ينبغي لجلال وجهك وعظيم سلطانك. سبحانك لا نحصي ثناء عليك أنت كما أثنيت على نفسك. نستغفرك ونتوب إليك، وأفضل الصلاة وأتم التسليم على سيد الأولين والآخرين وعلم السابقين وقائد الغر المحجلين وسيد ولد آدم أجمعين وشفيع المذنبين. اللهم صل وسلم وبارك عليه وعلى آله الغر الميامين وأصحابه نجوم الدين ومن تبعهم بإحسان إلى يوم الدين، وعنا معهم برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين. اللهم لا سهل إلا ما جعلته سهلا، وأنت تجعل الحزن إذا شئت سهلا. اللهم ألهمنا رشدنا وأعزنا بشرور أنفسنا. وبالسند المتصل إلى سيد الإمام الشيخ الأكبر رضي الله تعالى عنه عن نبيه قال: الحديث 21. حدثنا مسعود عبد الله بدر بن عبد الله الحبشي، كما قلت سابقا هذا تلميذه وهو من رواية الأكابر عن أصائر. حدثنا أبو محمد الهاشمي، حدثنا أبو الوقت السجزي، حدثنا داوودي، حدثنا الحموي، حدثنا الفرابري، حدثنا البخاري. هذا هو أشهر إسناد لصحيح البخاري. حدثنا علي بن عبد الله قال حدثنا سفيان عن أبي الزناد عن أعرج عن أبي هريرة عن رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم قال: قال الله عز وجل: أعددت لعبادي الصالحين ما لا عين رأت ولا أذن سمعت ولا خطر على قلب بشر.
21st Hadith. According to Abu Hurairah, the Messenger of God, may God give him blessings and peace, said, God, ever mighty and majestic is He, says, for my righteous servants I have prepared what no eye has seen, nor ear heard, nor has entered into a human heart.
This hadith, even though it sounds that it's short one, but you may consider it as detailed of what has been summarized in the Holy Quran. فَلَا تَعْلَمُ نَفْسٌ مَا أُخْفِيَ لَهُم مِّن قُرَّةِ أَعْيُنٍ. Okay, and here, as I said yesterday, we'll have all of those good matter, and in the heaven you cannot find anything except good matter, especially in the paradise. Okay, and these are all of them beyond the expectation. The other point, I may look at it, as a challenge from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to everyone. You are incapable of knowing, seeing, hearing these items, which is a creation. The heaven is a creation, is not the creator. This is a creation. And this is a challenge from Allah. If you are incapable, of knowing the creation, how we are going to know the creator, okay? And here Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives you an example of our lacking, in knowing, in achieving, in seeing, in hearing, anything. And this is mentioned, by some of the scientists, that you are incapable, of understanding, of knowing anything, unless you have something similar in your mind. Example of it: if you put a computer or a laptop in front of a person who passed away 200 years ago, you look at it, he may think this is something to sit on it, or some part of the furniture or whatever. But for sure, it's not going to know it exactly why it's there. Why? Because he doesn't have any match for it in his mind, okay? And for the hereafter, which is completely, with few exceptions, is unseen for us, For us, we don't know, we don't see, we don't hear. What's the difference between the believers and non-believers? The believers, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala praised them in the Quran, الَّذِينَ يُؤْمِنُونَ بِالْغَيْبِ. Okay, whenever they are told about Allah, from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's side, or through the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, they will have full submission to that. This is, for some people, may not sound a great thing, but in my understanding, for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and for the great people of Allah, it sounds very great, That's why one of these people, what did he say? He said, whenever you meet with a person who believes in the talk or statements given, by the awliya, ask him to make dua for you because he is wali. And this is mentioned by Ruwaym. Ruwaym is one of the famous people on that regard and was interpreted, by the author of this book. He said, to have this, to believe in such a thing, you have something similar inside your heart, making you believe in it, What I'm trying to say, whether we feel it or not, when we believe in such a wording, which I mentioned it in the Holy Quran or in the prophetic statement, when you have this belief, that's mean Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has this significant favor of us by making us, having something inside our hearts or elsewhere, which I don't know about myself, that you may have some type, not complete, some type of match, between what you have and what you have heard. And that's what, this was the interpretation of this great sheikh, which means that when you believe in such a wording, come from the Prophet ﷺ, for sure you have this belief, firstly because you have the illumination from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, نور يقذفه الله في القلب. Secondly, because you believe in the messenger that he is truthful. But besides these two items, you have something in your heart making you as such, And this is for such a person like me who most of his life, he did not have good deeds, or whatever, this is good sign, when you believe in such a word, okay? Because this make you one of these people that they have this unique gift, given to them from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And it came to my mind right now, that in some hadith, the Prophet ﷺ did mention that the people of heaven, and inshallah all of you people will be of people of heaven, okay, they start reminding each us. Do you remember that when we discuss this or that, now we observe it, and hopefully inshallah Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is going to move us from ilm al-yaqeen, because now we have confirmed knowledge, about these issues, matters, to ilm al-yaqeen, to have it observed, and seen by us, and then to haqq al-yaqeen, and all of those upgrading steps, we cannot achieve it by ourselves. It's merely a gift from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So to start with, you see how great is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He initiated these matters to you. He made you, you are Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala He made you, believe in such a thing, that put under the line of belief, put a lot of lines, because here some people say, they will say, what's the difference, what's the point, or whatever. Here the matter of belief itself, by itself, it has a lot of meaning, it has a lot of explanation, and hopefully inshallah this is going to lead us, to have this, even the wording, for it is not good, when you say great or excellent outcome, inshallah the outcome is going to be much higher than my wording and my expectation. Move to hadith number 22. حدثنا محمد بن خالد الصدفي حدثني يونس بن يحيى حدثنا أبو الوقت الهروي حدثنا عبد الأعلى المليحي عن إسماعيل الهروي. This is the same person that I told you about منازل السائلين. عن أبي الحسن محمد بن علي الصوفي الحسني عن حسن بن علي الكرخي عن محمد بن الأشعث عن موسى بن إسماعيل بن موسى عن أبيه عن جده عن أبيه جعفر الصادق عن أبيه عن جده علي بن الحسين عن الحسين بن علي عن علي بن أبي طالب رضي الله عليه السلام قال قال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم قال الله عز وجل من رجا غيري لم يعرفني ومن لم يعرفني لم يعبدني ومن لم يعبدني فقد استوجب سخطي ومن خاف غيري حلت به نقمتي.
22nd Hadith. According to Ali ibn Abi Talib, the Messenger of God, may God give him blessings and peace, said, God, ever mighty and majestic as He, says, He who hopes for other than me does not know me. He who does not know me does not worship me. He who does not worship me has incurred my displeasure. He who fears other than me, my vengeance befalls him.
I just look at this particular hadith, which was initiated from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's side, as how to relate yourself to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And here you have many items that we should take care of it. Firstly is the raja, the hope in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Secondly, to know Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Thirdly, to worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Okay. Fourth, number 4, to be fearful of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And we see the outcome from each one, how it was built in very vivid and very nice way, and how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala related the first 3 items that I'm speaking about. He related each one to another one, okay? And this is support the idea that I have spoken about, in the previous hadith, how when you have this large hope of Allah in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that means you have known Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for certain extent, not for the maximum of it, and you have worshipping Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You see, this connection for me, it means a lot, which I feel myself, lacking of speaking about it, But here, all of us, we should find our way, we should find our share, our portion, in that matter. And you see how absolute and how broad is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to contain all of those different relations that for sure you are going to have feeling that I don't have, okay? The people outside, some of them, they may have different feeling, and you name. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is going to He contains already all of these matters, And as I said before, I'm not exaggerating, it's beyond the expectation when I said Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala opened all of these channels, for people, to come to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, to get closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, by hope, by knowledge, by worshipping, by fearing, by this, by that, all of these matters, And the most rich resource you have, the Holy Quran. Many of those matters or data, or let's say for us, all of them, which for sure Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is absolute and is beyond those limitations that we have them in the Quran according to my mind, okay? But all of these channels mentioned in the Quran, they are quite great and they are quite fast, in making you achieve your destination to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The problem, I'm speaking about us, the problem that we did not improve our relation with the Holy Quran. Okay, and here it comes, and that's why perhaps this is one of the reasons, not the whole reason. That's why Sayyidina Uthman Affan did say, لو عرفنا كلام ربنا ما شبعنا به. If we are going to know the reality of the wording of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, will not feel full of it, at all. I'm sorry to tell you, here, inshallah, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala not making. That's just speaking, my portion of it, But I'm sorry to tell you, I'm quite lazy. I may go and relax or sleep or whatever. That person, Sayyidina Uthman ibn Affan, who was above 80, he stood behind Maqam Sayyidina Ibrahim and he recited the whole Quran in 1 rak'ah. There, for sure, I feel full confidence that that particular person, when he had this statement, he worked on it, worked again according to it. Okay. Sayyidina Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, the most knowledgeable one in the Quran. When you read in Sirah, never ever expose himself to any person without having some of the Quran read on him. Okay. The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam is the most eloquent one. Sometimes you feel that it needs to have some explanation from my side or whatever, Yet the Prophet ﷺ never ever meet with anyone, without having some portions Or sometimes the whole answer is going to be Quran. As one of the woman companion, what did she say? I just learned Surah Qaf from the Prophet ﷺ because he frequently used to recite it on the pulpit. Surah Qaf, okay? Surah Qaf, I'm going to bring some events, of the seerah, because this may shed some light, of in whatever I want to speak, okay? One time, those Meccan people, they were sitting, consulting each other, and they found that regardless of whatever they do against the Prophet ﷺ, he is going to be much more superior, and has much more expansion, even though it was limited a little bit in the Meccan time. So they decided we should do something. What we are going to do, let's collect massive amount of money and offer that person, if you are interested in money, we'll give you money. If you are interested in women, we'll make you get married to the most beautiful one. If you need some political position, we are not going to have any decision made except in your house, and by your opinion. If you have some disease or sickness, we are going to collect for you all Arab doctors, to treat you, and you name it. This is for anyone interested in it. Sounds very good, offer given from. And they sent a person who was intermediate. You see, this is part of your knowledge, When you have someone against you, some of them, they are going to be like hooks, and the other, they are much more moderate, okay? They choose a moderate person according to the statement of the Prophet Utbah ibn Rabi'ah. And they send him, to negotiate this and offer them to the Prophet ﷺ. And the Prophet ﷺ listened to him. The answer was yes or no, neither one. The Prophet ﷺ did not say yes or no. What did he say? Ya Latif, and my mind goes, he said, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Hamim tanzilum min ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. For me, for my understanding. When you say tanzilum min ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, what you are speaking about? You are speaking about money, you are speaking about this, you are speaking about that. I'm speaking about something, come from ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. For me, this is similar to when they were arguing with the Prophet ﷺ about did he go to Jerusalem or not, and the Prophet ﷺ went to the heavens, and went to paradise and went there and that, and they still, have this narrow, limited look, no, you did not go to Jerusalem. You see the main, here, the difference between the two looks is beyond my limit. Okay, and here the Prophet ﷺ, when he had this smart answer to that offer, really, just the Prophet ﷺ carried on, reciting certain portions, certain verses, of Surah Fussilat. But really, from the beginning, when you say Tanzilu min ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, for me the game is over. That's it. Okay. You have another example of it, the Prophet ﷺ, many occasions has been offered, many of these matters, and is going to show the main difference. Once whenever he was in the Meccan stage, whenever he hear about a significant or unique Arab person, coming to perform Umrah in Mecca, he's going to expose himself, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And Suwaid ibn Samit. You see, we love to hear the immigration of the Prophet ﷺ. He migrated to Medina, Ya Aini, and this very nice for us, and we feel the relief of it. But do you know that the Prophet ﷺ tried 3 times to make it work for him? The first time failed, the second time failed, and he tried 3 times, to have it working. And the first one was Suwaid ibn Samit. This come from Medina al-Munawwara, was high figure, and the Prophet ﷺ did expose himself to him. And he recited Quran on him as expected. And what did that person, Suwaid ibn, he said, perhaps the one you have in your hand is similar to mine. said, what do you have? The Prophet ﷺ asked him, what do you have? He said, I have Majalla to Luqman. Majalla in the old language, it means the collection. And apparently, some of the elderly people or old people, they have the complete collection, of all wisdoms, mentioned by Sayyidina Luqman. Sayyidina Luqman is a great person. The wisdom you expect to have it high. Okay. What did the Prophet ﷺ answer him? He said, whatever you have in your hand is human-made. Whatever I have, this is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala word. You see, here, I feel it, I may be right or wrong, We still have the same problem, not exactly Majallat Luqman. We may have something much worse than it. You tell the person, I have very nice book, unique book. I have never ever seen any book like it. Please give me the name of it. Quran al-Kareem. Quran, I know it. No, you don't know it. You don't know it. You don't have experience with it. Okay. You see, this is our problem. Why did it happen? One of the, not the whole problem, Part of the problem of it, the habitual matter. You see those new convert to Islam, really they admire when they recite Qul Huwallahu Ahad or Surah Al-Fatiha. The old Muslim, so what? I have heard it, thousands of times. I have heard this, this habitual process that we have it, sometimes it became a problem to us. Okay, that's why those great scholars, they said, whenever you recite Quran, you should consider yourself as if you are hearing this for the first time. And by this, you are going to receive new meaning from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So here, for sure, I consider all of my talk, from the beginning till the end about this particular hadith did not clarify the importance of this chain which has been designated by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. These are the rules of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We are the servants of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We should go according to His rules. Okay? I think all the audience, they love to get closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. To get closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, not by what I wish, not by whatever I think. No, I should work hard in the rules of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Okay? Raja, hope in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, knowledge in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, worship to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and fear of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We may hate some of these items mentioned. Many of us, they may hate the fear matter, But when you know that the Prophet ﷺ did say, أَنَا أَعْلَمُكُمْ بِاللَّهِ وَأَنَا أَشَدُّكُمْ لَهُ خَشْيَةً. I'm the most knowledgeable in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. I'm the most fearful of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You know that this is good time, this is nice time, to fear of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It's not something that I should hate, or run away of it, We should experience it, As I said before, I don't want anyone of us to be extreme, or to get deviated to right or left, But you should have all of these items highlighted in this particular hadith. I pick up 4, they may be more or less, okay? You should have them under significant consideration if you are concerned, about being closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Move to next hadith, الحديث الثالث والعشرون. حدثنا أبو طاهر السلفي عن الطبري عن عبد الغافر الفارسي عن الجلودي عن إبراهيم عن مسلم. This is again the most famous chain for Imam Muslim. عن زهير بن حرب حدث يعقوب بن إبراهيم عن أبي عن شهاب عن عطاء بن يزيد الليثي عن أبي هريرة قال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم في حديث فراغ الله من القضاء بين العباد يوم القيامة فقال عليه الصلاة والسلام ويبقى رجل مقبل بوجهه على النار وهو آخر أهل الجنة دخولا للجنة فيقول أي رب اصرف وجهي عن النار فإنه قد قشبني ريحها وأحرقني. Here in my copy ذكاؤها, but it's ذكاؤها, not ذكاؤه, ذكاؤها. فيدعو الله ما شاء الله أن يدعوه، ثم يقول الله تبارك وتعالى: هل عسيت إن فعلت ذلك بك أن تسأل غيره؟ فيقول: لا أسأل غيره. ويعطي ربه عز وجل من عهود ومواثيق ما شاء الله، فيصرف الله وجهه عن النار، فإذا أقبل على الجنة ورآها سكت ما شاء الله أن يسكت، ثم يقول: أي رب قدمني إلى باب الجنة. فيقول الله عز وجل له: أليس قد أعطيت عهودك ومواثيقك؟ لا تسألني غير الذي أعطيتك، ويلك يا ابن آدم ما أقدرك. فيقول: أي رب، يدعو الله عز وجل، يقول له: هل عسيت إن أعطيتك ذلك أن تسأل غيره؟ فيقول: لا وعزتك. فيعطي ربه ما شاء الله من عون ومواثيق، فيقدمه إلى باب الجنة، فإذا قام على باب الجنة انفهقت له الجنة، فرأى ما فيها من الخير والسرور، فيسكت ما شاء الله أن يسكت، ثم يقول: أي رب أدخلني الجنة. فيقول الله تبارك وتعالى له: أليس قد أعطيت عهودك ومواثيقك ألا تسأل غير ما أعطيت؟ ويلك يا ابن آدم ما أقدرك. فيقول: أي رب، لا أكون أشقى خلقك. ولا يزال يدعو الله عز وجل حتى يضحك الله تبارك وتعالى منه، فإذا ضحك الله منه قال: ادخل الجنة. فإذا دخلها قال الله تعالى: تمنه. فيسأل ربه ويتمنى، حتى إن الله عز وجل لا يذكره من كذا وكذا، حتى إذا انقطعت به الأماني قال الله عز وجل: ذلك لك ومثله معه.
23rd Hadith. According to Abu Hurairah, the Messenger of God, may God give him blessings and peace, said whilst relating a hadith concerning the final judgment of the servants on the day of resurrection: one man remains, whose face is turned towards the fire. He will be the last of the people of paradise to enter paradise. He cries, "O my Lord, avert my face from the fire, for its stench tortures me, and its heat consumes me." He continues to beseech God for as long as he wishes him to. Then God, ever blessed and exalted as he, will say, "If I granted you this, will you ask anything else of me?" "No, I shall ask nothing else," he replies, and he makes whatever commitments and pledges to his Lord, ever mighty and majestic is he, that God wants him to make. Then God averts his face from the fire. When he comes towards paradise and sees it, he keeps silent as God would wish, but then he will cry, "O my Lord, bring me up to the gate of paradise." God, ever mighty and majestic as he, will reply, "Did you not make a commitment? Did you not pledge that you would ask nothing else of me other than that which I have already given to you? Woe betide you, child of Adam! How faithless you are!" The man replies, "O my Lord," and he beseeches God, ever mighty and majestic is he, until he says, "And will you ask anything else of me if I grant it to you?" "No, by your might." Then he makes whatever commitments and pledges God wants him to make, and God brings him up to the gate of paradise. When he stands at the gate of paradise, paradise itself is opened out for him, and he will see all the wonderful delights therein. He keeps silent as God would wish, but then he will cry, "O my Lord, let me into paradise." God, ever blessed and exalted as he, will reply, "Did you not make a commitment? Did you not pledge that you would ask for nothing other than that which you have been given? Woe betide you, child of Adam! How faithless you are!" The man replies, "O my Lord, do not make me the most miserable of your creatures." And he will not cease to entreat him until God, ever blessed and exalted as he, laughs at him. And when God laughs at him, he will say, "Enter into paradise." Once he is there, God, ever exalted as he, will say, "Make a wish." He will ask his Lord and make a wish, with God reminding him of this and that, until all the wishes come to an end. Then God, ever mighty and majestic as he, will declare, "You shall have all that and more besides."
The title of the last one to enter heaven has been used in some authentic, perhaps some non-authentic hadith, just to tell us, about the great mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And here, this hadith is sahih, this authentic hadith, okay? Firstly, about the translation, when you have the infahaqat, like open, I think it's much more than open, because you all of a sudden you find yourself as if you are in the middle of everything, This is the infihaq of Jannah. You are going to smell, you are going to see, you are going to hear, you are going to perhaps some other involvement that we don't expect, all of this matter, that the Prophet ﷺ brought one word for it. He said, infahaqat. Okay, and infahaqat, I feel, I may be completely wrong, you cannot translate it as open only. Because open, even if you said futihat al-jannah, that's it. It's the same meaning. But infahaqat, at least you should have more excessive, more exaggeration of that particular meaning, when you understand infahaqat. Then, you see the nature of humankind. Is going to ask, give the commitment, give all oaths, and whatever, and then he is ready to change his mind. Some of these nature, they are really bad, especially the one who perform with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, gives the commitment, and then you break it. Some of them, they are good like this, And there's one narration, which I don't see the word here. وَرَبُّهُ يَعْذُرُهُ. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala excuse that person, because he is tested, he is tempted, to some matters that he cannot help it, Even if he gave those oaths, and those commitment to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he's going to break all of them, Even though he still remember them, Why? Because he cannot help himself, He cannot control himself. It's a matter of control, And this reminds me of control. We are in this life, we are exposed, we are tempted to many different items. Some of them they are good, some of them they are bad. And apparently what I understand that some of these tests we should have the ability to control ourselves. And for me, for my understanding, one of the best school of training that you have is Ramadan. Okay, in Ramadan you are going to feel too thirsty, the bottle of water next to you, and you control yourself, of drinking it. You may not know the strength, about yourself, but you are going to learn, about your strengths, by this. I have spoken with some non-Muslim, about Ramadan, and they cannot even imagine that they may stay for a few hours, without eating or drinking. And I fully believe them. Why? Because this is the expectation given or expected by anyone, But when you have this great experience of Ramadan, you are going to find yourself, even though you are completely ignorant, of yourself, you are going to find many of your strengths that you never expect before. And that's why this has been ended, in the Holy Quran by كَمَا كُتِبَ عَلَى الَّذِينَ مِن قَبْلِكُمْ لَعَلَّكُمْ تَتَّقُونَ. This is the mainstay of taqwa. Okay, when you have the strength or the ability to control yourself, of something that you, out of your nature or out of your desire or out of this or that, you would like to do, and you are going to stop doing it or not initiating it, out of your fear of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Okay, and that's what the Prophet ﷺ did say, as-siyamu junnah, as a protective measurement, for the humankind. Okay, so here you make all of us, without exception. This is my understanding. I may be wrong about it. We have certain level or certain point. Whenever we go beyond it, we are going to be broken. Even in Siyam, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala did not want, the people, to die, because of fasting, or to get massively exhausted, of fasting, These people, they are excused, to break their fast, okay? What does it tell you? Even though you have significant strength, inside yourself, besides it, you have significant weakness. Because why? Because you have limit, Whenever you go beyond that limit, I'm going to be broken, okay? So, and this philosophy, the way I look at it, why it doesn't work, in the between the spouses, or between the father, and his children, or between the brother and his brother, or whatever, Why? Because we don't respect the limit of that particular person. That particular person, he may be great in all aspects, except this, he is going to be weak, and he has certain limit. And when you induce him, to go beyond that limit, you are going to hear from him, something that disliked for you and for him, some behavior, some action, or whatever. And you are blamed for this, And you should try to keep your relation with that particular person, regardless of what position is he at, beyond the limit, okay? And all of us, we have limits. Don't induce anyone, to lead him to go beyond that particular limits. Here, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala did show that person, who is the last one, to enter heaven. You see, even in such a position, when he wants to enter the heaven, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala kept teaching him, about the knowledge in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Okay? And this, when you know yourself that you are limited, you see in this great hadith, how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is broad, how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is open, how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is not going to be similar to you. Since you have given your oath, I'm not going to listen to you at all. No, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, you see, even though that person, according to this particular hadith, he broke his oath and a commitment, and promised 3 or 4 times, and each time, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is quite open, and accept his dua, and accept something which may overrule what had been set up, before. And this is, why did the Prophet ﷺ mention this to us, For sure you are much more than one person, and for sure, if the person among your people, the very last one, to enter the heaven, the rest, what benefit they got from? We got to learn about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala much more. We got to have much more higher hope and bigger thoughts in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and higher expectation in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You see, the Prophet ﷺ will not tell us about this certain event without permission from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And I feel it, and the way I understand it, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala permitted to have these people, these lousy people, to understand something, about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, which almost impossible to be understood, without this knowledge given from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And to be honest with you, this is beyond my expectation, beyond my thoughts, that I should upgrade my expectation, my thought, about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. What did Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala lose here? When you have a person, highly educated, and you have someone sitting next to him is going to mention some pieces of information that highly educated did not know. The first one is going to feel himself, he has humiliated or put down, okay, and is going to be concerned, about his knowledge. Some of them, not all, they are going to have a lie. They are going to have misbehavior. They are going to have this. Even, I'm sorry to tell you, even Quran, the teacher of Quran, sometimes they may go under this unpleasant, position to be at. Why? Because I am too limited, and I am afraid that the other one is going to take away the attention of everyone. Okay? Whereas, when we speak about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, it's completely different story. Okay? He's not scared, that someone is going to be sure that he has much more knowledge or much more strength or whatever. Usually I give this example or 2 examples, just to, because really we are in real need of this, because we are too limited, If you play basket, okay, and you have that challenge, between the people, they stand at that particular line, and someone they have that chance to have 10, drops or whatever, you know. Some will get 7, some will get 8, some will get 9, some will get 0, and you know. And if a person comes, yeah, this is just to brighten the idea in my mind, you know. This is not Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. If a person come, you know, from 1/2 kilometer, you know, is going to put it, you know, right away in the basket, you know, regardless if he turn his back away or whatever, you feel here something superior, something different than the ordinary, usual matter, you know, that you have in this life. When you play chess, you know, you may have competition, you know, and the weak one, you may, يعني, get one round or one game for him, you know. But if you have, regardless of whatever you are going to do, you know, with 3 movements, the game is over, you know, you feel something superior here. You have something in this life like this? Yes. We have a lot of examples. I'm going to highlight 2 examples, you know, of it. The first, I think I have spoken about it, you know, before Surah Al-Fatiha. Surah Al-Fatiha is not similar to any text in any language, you know, similar to its text, you know. If you ask me to recite that text, you know, I'll get fed up of it, you know. If you ask me to recite it 20 times, you know. Till now, I feel myself too thirsty, you know, to recite Surah Al-Fatiha. The other example, which makes Sayyidina Khalid bin Walid Muslim, what is it? That the rule in this life, any famous man, you know, regardless, or famous person, regardless if he is in military or economy or politics or whatever, you know, is going to have a hymn or summit, and then what? Go down. He observed, Sayyidina Khalid bin Walid, he observed this. Sayyidina Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam keep going up, without going down. Now we live it, you know, after more than 1400 years, you know, you go to the Muslim countries, Ashhadu anna Muhammadan Rasul. Do you have any person, any humankind at all mentioned after that long time? No. Sayyidina Muhammad told us, go to Arafat in that particular day. You are going to have the most massive gathering ever, you know. Do you have such thing, you know, after 1400? No. And Sayyidina Khalid bin Walid, in his time, he said, this person is a prophet because he's zuhuruhu zuhura munkar. Munkar, what's the meaning of munkar? Not something ugly, no. That means it's against all the rules of this life. Okay? This is not, Sayyidina Muhammad is not a god, but this is supported by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And this is made in a way that you never experience in this life. We as Muslims, we should be too happy, you know, with this example. And if you have some of this example, you know, much more than this, you know, should feel about them, you know. And this to tell you that there's something beyond our understanding. My experience, you know, when I meet with the classmate, you know, this one is higher, you know, in geography, the other one is higher in math, and the third one, you know, and we are almost equal to each other, you know. When you say higher, you know, it's a small amount, you know, of highness, you know, than the others, you know. But here when you speak about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Inna Allah bi kulli shay'in alim, this is beyond my limit, beyond my imagination, beyond anything, okay? And when you take any attribute, any name, any action to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, you are not going to find it similar to anything that you have experienced in this life. You know? And those that I call them extraordinaries, you are going to face them, you know, much more, you know, in the hereafter. In a creations, not creator, in the creations, you know, and it's going to make you much more familiar with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, yet you haven't reached Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You see how great is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? It's not a matter of competition, it's not a matter of being good in this, bad in that. It's way behind. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala didn't create, you know, a person, you know, humankind. Wasn't it? Not a person, you know, who came through him, you know, for an hour. Sayyidina Ali bin Abi Talib. When you say Sayyidina Ali bin Abi Talib, he was raised up in the house of the Prophet ﷺ, and he joined him till the the last, very last end of the life, holy life of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. يقول ناعته لم أرى قبله ولا بعده مثله. Put this under mind, put it under consideration. Have you seen anything like this? Yes, we have seen it in the Prophet, but we never ever see it, in someone else. Even if you have this sheikh or this righteous people, or this great man, or this knowledgeable man, or this expert in this, you are going to find some deficiencies. Okay. Whereas here, the companion, they were really shocked, about this phenomenon come to them from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And that's why I would like repetitively, to mention this narration which was given by Sayyidina Ali ibn Abi Talib. Again, reminder what I have said about him. And Sayyidina Abdullah ibn Mas'ud, who, when he became Muslim, he joined the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, keep coming inside the house of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam all the time. What did they say, both of them? إذا سمعتم الحديث عن رسول الله فصنوا به الذي هو أهدى والذي هو أتقى والذي هو أهدى. Okay. Whenever I don't think here it means al-hadith, the term that we have used nowadays about al-hadith al-sharif. Any statement about the Prophet sallallahu hadith an Rasulullah, that means any statement mentioned, about the Prophet sallallahu. You should upgrade, your understanding. You should have the most righteous thing, the most fearing of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the most guided one, and for the physical thing, the most nice outlooking, Yet, whenever you upgrade, this is good for you, to understand the Prophet ﷺ much better, but this is not the case. The Prophet ﷺ much higher than this, much more superior than this. And this, I look at it as a challenge from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. I created a person called Muhammad. All of your people, you are incapable, of containing or understanding him, which means that you are much more, incapable, of understanding Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Okay. And this hadith really, how the humankind behave and how they respond from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, you feel something different, something not related to humankind, something extraordinary for us in our measurement, And the Prophet ﷺ did intentionally tell us, about this event, even though we should, like me, we should feel ashamed of ourselves, because we see the human break promises all the time, in front of Allah, break promises, take away what He has ever said, and you name it, okay? And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, quite open, absolute, giving him, granting. When we say that he go and enter heaven, for us, may mean something, may not mean something, but for that person who observed her fire, and go enter heaven, I said before, this is, I don't expect to have anything in this life similar to it, okay? I think now they show me that we have 10 minutes left, I feel myself, even though I'm too limited, that I haven't finished speaking about this particular hadith. We'll leave the other 10 minutes, or the last 10 minutes for question, and I may come back, and speak about some other point, or I may forget, but then you may excuse me.
Regarding hadith number 6, Sayyidi, you've emphasized submission of the mind to the realities that have come through revelation due to the prevalent intellectual arrogance of many Muslims. What is more dangerous in our suluk? Our desires, so lack of submission of the limbs, or our doubts, lack of submission of the mind?
For suluk, or for actions, this may be a bad sign. Why? Because they said al-ma'asi badidul kufr. You are not going to be helped a lot. The Prophet ﷺ learned us, or taught us, to say, أعوذ بك من فتنة المحيا والممات. All of us, we are going to go through that particular critical moment, which is when the soul departs this body. And I look at it as a real battle, take place, at that particular point, You have the shayateen and their colleagues, and you have the angels and their colleague, and both of them, they are going to fight against each other to work hard to have this soul depart with belief or with disbelief. The one who commit a lot of sins. The Prophet ﷺ gave us example of lie. When you have one lie, you see, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is too great. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, whenever we are created, you have an angel colleague or next to you, qareen of malaika, as mentioned in Sahih Muslim, and you have jinni or shaitan next to you. The first one is going to be good advisor, to make you closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and you have the other one, the other advisor is very bad advisor. Okay? And this is what the Prophet ﷺ mentioned, even for the prophets, they have those consultants, some of them they are going to be good, and some of them they are going to be bad. The one who spent I'm speaking about the rules of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You may have exceptions, from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's side. The one who spent all of his life obeying Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, his angel next to him is going to be quite strong, and he has significant influence in him. And in this particular critical battle, is going to have the strongest influence on him. Whereas the one who enjoy his time or desire, I'm going to finish that particular hadith. The Prophet ﷺ said, whenever anyone commit a lie, the angel is going to be far of him 1 mile. We say it in English, mile. The Arabic mile is longer than the mile, okay? Because the mile is 1600 meters. The mile, I think, roughly is 1800 meters, okay? So for one lie, is going to be far of you 1 mile. I don't fully understand this, but what do I understand? That angel, his influence when he is in that far, is going to be much less than when he is next to me. This is the way I understand it. I may not understand exact physical explanation of it. When we have two lies, I don't have an answer from the Prophet ﷺ. So perhaps 2 meals. If you keep lying all the time, he may be in the opposite side of the globe, or he may be elsewhere, that you don't know. And this is the whole problem behind the suluk that mentioned there, or the actions, okay? When you have those bad actions, you have those supporters, of the good, that they want you to go to heaven, they are going to be quite weak, and far of you. And we are going to have the others, quite strong. And the Prophet ﷺ did mention it physically also. What did he say? Whenever any one of you people, enter his house and he said, Bismillah. The qareen, this shaitan, is going to tell his colleague, no space to sleep at tonight. No space. I don't have place to sleep at. When the food is served to him and he said Bismillah, the shaitan is going to tell his colleague, no food tonight, no dinner tonight. Okay? So in my imagination, the shaitan or the colleague or the qareen of the believer is going to be quite thin, too tired, because no sleeping, no eating, nothing. The other one, without Bismillah, is going to be quite strong, and is going to put him down under him, and dictate whatever he wants, on him, And this is the main, major, fearful, critical moment that we have in our life, the last moment of our life. Because you have real fighting, between those angels and their colleagues, and the other side, to have this soul depart the body with belief or not belief. I'm not from the Muslim section that they believe that some of those actions, they are kufr. No, I don't believe in this, But I believe in al-ma'asi barid al-kufr, okay? يعني here you are not going to receive any support when you have such a position, whereas you are going to receive a massive support from these people, when you are good and nice with them, all of your life. When it comes to doubt, the Prophet ﷺ was quite positive, about it. He said, this is a signal of belief. Why? Doubt is not signal of belief, but it tells you that this person has significant belief in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and the shaitan try to create some doubt on him. He's not going to have such a doubt, for the non-believer or the atheist or whatever. He's going to have it to the believer. They give example of it like when you have a thief, when you have a house, broken down, and there's nothing valuable inside it, the thief is not interested, in breaking in that particular house. When you have a very well furnished, house, and a lot of valuable items, inside, is interested. And this is the case of the shaitan. When he tried to break in, by this doubt, that's mean, as the Prophet ﷺ did say, not me, ذَاكَ صَرِيحُ الْإِيمَانِ. This is the most fresh, and absolute signal, of your belief, that the shaitan tried to break in, tried to change this, And I love this way, of expression. Why? Because you should look at it from the optimistic and from the positive point, and try to take away, the doubt or whatever, because if you are fully convinced that my heart, alhamdulillah, is well furnished, well established, in the regarding the belief of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and the shaitan try to break through it, or have something done to it. This is the way I look at it, and for sure, in all aspects of our life, we should relate ourselves to Allah Subhanahu. Say, Ya Allah, this bothers me a lot, May you help me, to get rid of this problem or whatever. And we are going, especially for these items that make you closer to Allah Subhanahu wa Taala. You are going to find the response from Allah Subhanahu wa Taala much faster than your expectation. Other question?
Yeah. With reference to, I think it was either Hadith 21 or 23 in the Sharh, you mentioned Ainul Yaqeen and Haqqul Yaqeen. What's the difference between them?
They said Ainul Yaqeen when observe something. Okay. Haqqul Yaqeen when you are inside it, involved completely in it. They give example about the Holy Kaaba. Nowadays, I'm sorry, I'm going to tell you, by TV, all of you have observed Kaaba. In old days, you have many unbelievers, they never observe the Kaaba. They have the ilm al-yaqeen, confirmed knowledge that there is something called Kaaba. Then if they observe it for the first time, it's going to have different taste than what they didn't know before. Then if that person gets involved, under the clothes of that Kaaba and make dua to Allah, and some of the tears come and he has some interaction there or whatever, it's going to be completely different than seeing the Kaaba, okay? And this is, you may understand it as an example of ilm al-yaqeen, ayn al-yaqeen, haqq al-yaqeen. The other example of it, you see, as mentioned by some of the great scholars, he said, like when you see the sea, then when you ride a ship, in the sea, and you are going to be moved, and some of us may vomit, some of us may have this or that, and when you are drowned, in the sea, it's going to be different, between the three items.
Last question before the 10-minute break. In reference to Hadith number 22, how did Sayyidina Uthman ibn Affan radiallahu anhu read the whole Quran in a single prayer?
Physically, it's possible. Non-physically spiritual is much more possible, because this is mentioned in Bukhari. Suhila ala Dawood al-Quran. Apparently here the wording al-Quran means the master. That means his book, which is the Zabur or part, he used to recite it just by the preparation of his vehicles, which were, donkeys or horses or something, when they prepare his vehicles, he will finish the whole text, of his book, and this is barakah of time. The barakah of time, you may have much longer than what you expect, I used to speak up, about a certain sheikh, in Aleppo. This is a city in Syria, He doesn't know that particular night, but in one night of the last 10, of Ramadan, he's going to recite the whole Quran completely, in this Taraweeh prayer. Here in US, when I used to live here in US, I was sitting in one majlis, and a person from there, he said, I attended that prayer. I met with a person who prayed behind him. He said, this is his word. He said it took roughly 3 hours to recite the whole Quran, and it's well understood. Okay, you are going to understand each wording of it, and it took only 3 hours. This is physically impossible. Okay, but it happened in our time. I used to speak up about it, and I met here in US with a person who did pray behind that particular sheikh.
We're going to take a 10-minute break. It's 11:18 right now, so we'll come back at 11:28, inshallah.